You open your eyes and look down at your feet. You aren't standing on your bedroom carpet anymore. You're standing on uneven, muddy cobblestones in a dark, narrow medieval alleyway under a gray, miserable sky. You look at your hands, but they're encased in thick, dark leather gloves coated in dried tallow. Heavy, oiled leather robes hang down to your ankles, weighing on your shoulders like armor against an invisible enemy. In your left hand, you're holding a smooth wooden cane. In your right hand, you hold a strange, heavy object made of hardened leather. You turn it around and realize what it is: a long, bird-like beak mask with round glass eye holes. The year is 1348. You are in Europe, at the peak of the Black Death. A mystery illness is wiping out entire towns in weeks, and you have just stepped into the shoes of a plague doctor. You lift the heavy mask over your face and pull the leather straps tight behind your head. Immediately, the overwhelming stench of the street is replaced by the sharp, medicinal perfume stuffed inside the bird's beak. Dried lavender, crushed cloves, camphor, and mint fill your nostrils. Back in the 14th century, everyone believes disease spreads through miasma, foul, poisoned air. They think if you smell sweet herbs, the air can't poison you. You glance through the thick glass lenses of your mask. The world looks distorted and pale yellow. A door creaks open down the alley, and a man steps out, painting a bright red cross across his own front door before slamming it shut. That red cross means one terrifying thing: infection inside. The city council has hired you to do the one job everyone else is too terrified to attempt: enter the homes of the sick and record who is left alive. You grip your wooden cane tightly and approach the door. You don't use your hands to touch anything. You use the tip of the cane to push the heavy oak door open, stepping inside the pitch-black, silent home. The air inside is warm and stagnant. On a low straw bed, a sick man lies shivering under rough blankets. You approach carefully, keeping your distance, and use your wooden stick to pull back the blanket from his neck. There it is. A swollen, painful lump the size of an apple under his jawline, a bubo, turned dark purple and black. His skin is burning with fever, and his breathing sounds like dry leaves scraping across stone. Your modern brain instantly recognizes what you're looking at: Yersinia pestis, a deadly bacterium attacking his lymphatic system. But to the people in this room, it's a terrifying curse from the heavens. The man's family gathers in the shadowy corners of the room, looking at your terrifying bird mask with a mixture of desperate hope and absolute horror. To them, you look like a grim reaper who has come to claim a soul. They beg you to save him. But as a 14th century doctor, your medical toolbox is not just useless, it's horrific. The accepted treatments of your era are based on balancing bodily humors, and they cause pure agony. You watch an assistant enter behind you, carrying leeches and iron lancets for bloodletting. They believe that draining the patient's blood will drain the poison. In reality, it drains the patient's remaining strength, killing them hours faster. Other doctors apply live frogs or warm poultices of dried vipers directly to the swollen buboes, hoping to draw out the disease. You watch these gruesome procedures unfold, realizing the medical care itself is torture. Then, a horrifying realization hits your mind like a lightning bolt. You look at the assistant's unwashed tools, the leather robes passed from house to house, and the flea-infested blankets being shared between family members. The doctors aren't just failing to cure the plague, their lack of basic understanding is actually accelerating its spread across the city. Every home you visit carries invisible vectors on every surface. You look out the high, narrow window into the alley below. Black rats run freely along open drainage ditches, covered in tiny fleas, carrying millions of plague bacteria. Yet no one in this century even knows microbes exist. You decide you cannot perform these brutal medieval treatments. You step away from the bloodletting tools and use your cane to motion for clean, fresh water and boiled vinegar instead. You instruct the family to open the windows to circulate fresh air, wash the patient's skin with vinegar, and burn the straw bedding outside in the yard immediately. The family looks at you like you've gone completely insane. Later that afternoon, you stand before the city council in the grand stone hall. You try to explain that people need to isolate, wash their hands, and clean up the waste in the streets to stop the dying. But the council elders shake their heads in anger. They tell you that burning scented wood in town squares and ringing church bells are the only answers. They warn you not to spread strange, dangerous ideas about invisible filth. You walk back out into the twilight. As the sun sets, the city grows eerily quiet. The sound of heavy wooden wheels echoes through the streets as cart collectors call out into the darkness, gathering those who didn't survive the day. You sit down on a cold stone bench near a silent fountain, completely exhausted under the heavy weight of your leather cloak. The sheer isolation of being a plague doctor hits you with staggering force. You are surrounding yourself with death every single hour, feared by the living, isolated from society, unable to touch another human being without risking your life or horrifying them with your disguise. You realize that the greatest tragedy of 1348 isn't just the disease itself. It's the total breakdown of human connection. Fear has made neighbors lock their doors against each other, leaving families to face the dark entirely alone. A sudden cold breeze sweeps down the abandoned alleyway, swirling dry leaves around your boots. You glance into the shadows of a nearby shuttered apothecary shop, and a familiar light flickers back to life. The glowing blue portal appears inside the doorway, humming softly against the medieval stone walls. It's your doorway home, signaling that your time in this terrifying century has come to an end. You reach up and unstrap the heavy leather mask, taking your first breath of open air. You look back one last time at the lantern-lit streets of 1348, carrying a profound weight in your chest. You step through the blue portal. In an instant, the smell of wood smoke and lavender vanishes. You drop heavily back into your desk chair, staring at the bright light of your modern computer screen. The air in your room is warm and safe. But as you glance at your wall, you notice a faint, familiar blue shimmer lingering at the edge of the shadows. The portal never stays closed for long, and somewhere out there, in time and space, another impossible life is waiting for you to step through.
That was today's Life a Day. What life should we explore next? Thanks for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this journey, leave a like, subscribe, and join us tomorrow for another incredible life story.